Hey guys, it's Adam. I hope you're doing lovely. Welcome back to Do You Watch Anime, where I sit down with a guest and ask them, do you watch anime? And today, joining me is manga creator or content creator, there we go, manga content creator and shoujo connoisseur, Colleen Manga Rex. How are you today?
Hello, I'm doing. I've been better, but doing good today.
So, do you watch anime?
Would it be crazy if I just said
Oh,
no?
I mean,
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's been so good. Thank you.
You just end the interview. Yeah, no, I do watch anime.
So, how did you first get into anime?
That's a good question. I think it, like many people who grew up in the 90s, I kind of found it through like Pokemon Digimon, but also like 4Kids on Saturday mornings. I can't remember exactly if they used to play card captors on 4Kids, but I was very into card captors. I can't remember exactly how I found it, but it was like my favorite thing ever. I used to recreate like Sakura's outfits when I had one of those like straight to VHS recorders.
Yeah.
I used to recreate like scenes from card captors and make my sisters be like the villains or whatever. And I did that for Powerpuff Girls too, but I was very into card captors. And then from there, I had a friend who introduced me to Fruits Basket, and we ended up watching the entirety of the 2001 version in one sitting.
Okay, damn.
Yeah, and that's where I kind of found manga, because I was like, wait, they have books of this? That's crazy. And from there, kind of just kept tumbling, and, you know, I got into Toonami series, so I think at the time it was Code Geass, Full Metal Alchemist. You start finding the websites. Yep. Yeah, so, and then, you know, I kind of went back and forth between being really into it and then kind of falling off of it. But yeah, COVID really just gave me a lot of time to get back into my hobbies, and that's when I got back into anime after probably not having been into it for a good 10 years.
Damn, that's a big break. Yeah. Holy crap. So what are some of your like favorite anime to just of all time?
Chihaya Furu.
Yep.
Like, I think anyone who knows me knows that's what I'm gonna say immediately. Chihaya Furu. Selling people on that anime when they ask me, like when they find out I like anime, and they're like, "Oh, so what's your favorite?" I'm like, "Have you heard of a poetry card game sports series?" It's called Chihaya Furu.
Yeah.
But for like a more basic answer, not Code Geass, sorry. It used to be Code Geass, but Cowboy Bebop is like my 90s kid basic answer is Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, that's valid. That's valid. Yeah, like I'm lucky enough my favorite is My Hero. So I'd be like superheroes in anime, and that's it.
Yeah, literally. You're like, I have an easy description actually.
Yeah. Or they'd be like, what's a more like, I want to dive deep more. I was like, so there's this maid. It's called Maid Sama. It's just hear me out.
Oh, so you're like, are you into Maid Sama? Is that one of your favorites?
We binged the anime like I think it was like 2020 or 2021, and I was like, it was one of those that if like the season finished, and I was like, can we press episode 1 again?
Yeah. You're like, so what happens next?
I need to know. Yeah, one of those. It's one of my favorites. And then we went to literally went straight to Kami-sama Kiss after that. And I was like, nice. Oh, this ends at season 1 as well. Okay, great, awesome. 10 out of 10.
You started seeing the
Yep.
shoujo curse of
Yeah.
season ones.
Yep, exactly. We watched Fruits Basket, the remake, as it was coming out. And my partner had read the whole story like through the manga, and was just watching my reaction weekly as I was just being destroyed emotionally. Because just every episode I was like, I can't wait another week for this. Just come out with all of it, please. But yeah, that was.
That's the good thing about a remake, at least. You had all the manga. Like, if you were really impatient, you're like, well, I'll just go over to the manga.
It's true. So, how did you get into collecting manga? Because you have quite the collection.
So it was kind of when I started getting back into anime again. We watched the Fruits Basket remake. I think that was the first thing that kind of like got me snowballed back into like really getting into anime. Because I had remembered hearing about it, but we didn't have any like streaming networks at the time that played anime, and I saw that Hulu had it. Ended up watching the Fruits Basket remake, and I was like, oh my gosh, this just reminds me of when I was a kid, and I was so into all these series. So I kind of started going back and rereading a bunch of stuff that I used to really love. Maid-sama was actually one of the first ones that I reread, because that was like my series as a kid. I loved Misaki so much.
Such a good character.
Any sort of tomboy shoujo character, it's like, oh my god, that's so me.
Yep.
But yeah, so I was getting into Maid-sama, and then I started reading Snow White with the Red Hair, and I started reading Kami-sama Kiss, and I was like, you know what? Why I need to start collecting manga again. I used to kind of collect manga, not to the extent that I have now, because you like a high schooler and I no money.
Yep.
But I had a small collection, and I really liked it, but I had sold it in college because I thought I was done with manga. So I was like, I don't need this. I need a little bit of extra cash, whatever V-Stock can give me. But yeah, so I ended up getting back into reading, and I was like, you know what? Let's start like looking into some of the series I used to read and I didn't ever get to own. And that's when I found like online thrift bookstores, and I just started buying all these like discounted old series that I used to love, and it really just snowballed from there. I ended up just kind of becoming a hoarder at this point.
I feel you, because my partner has her end of the apartment, like her shelves of manga, and then I have mine. And like because I started I want to say collecting manga like 2021 ish. Komi Can't Communicate got announced for an anime, and I was like, oh, this looks cute. And then I was like, oh, I'll pick up the manga, and then it started, and I was like, uh-oh. And I'm 31 volumes into Komi, and then there's just any anime that I really liked, that I was like, oh, I want to learn more, picked up the manga. It's dangerous.
Yeah, I was gonna say, unfortunately, of the ones that you've mentioned, they're all long series.
Yeah. When we watched, I think it was the little OVA of Kase-san in the Morning Glories, immediately we finished it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna look for all of these. I need more in my life. And then I was like, oh, there's only like so many. Perfect. I don't have to spend how much money on 50 volumes of manga.
Yeah, literally. It's just like 6 or 7 volumes. This is great.
Yeah. Well, it's like I was collecting Lovesick Ellie, and I was like, 12 volumes. And it's over. It's done. It's great. Did I want it to end? No, but I was like, it's good for my wallet.
Very true. That's the funny thing, because a lot of shoujo series end around like volume 10
Mm-hmm.
or so, and every single time I'm like, I'm somewhat glad it's over, because like they're not running it into the ground, but at the same time, I would love to read like 30 more volumes of whatever they're
Oh,
gonna do. I don't even care what they're gonna do. Just I would like 30 more
oh
volumes,
yeah,
please.
totally. When I I was collecting Sweat and Soap. I collected the last manga, and like in the bookstore, I'm like, this is it. I was like, I why am I getting emotional right now? Like just looking at the cover.
Yeah.
Like I know what the cover looks like. I'm just like, I don't want it to end.
Oh my gosh, that was me with Chihaya
Hmm.
Furu. When I saw the volume 50 cover come out, I was just like, can I have like? Well, now there's a spinoff, so I kind of have more volumes, but I would like 50 more
Yeah.
now. I did get an extra 2 because it was supposed to end on like volume 47, and it was kind of out of nowhere. And then they were like, actually, you know what? We can't finish this that fast, so let's actually do 3 more. I was like, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Whatever you
Yep.
say.
So actually, fun fact, you with your content got me into Kimi Todoke, which is legitimately one of my favorite series ever. Yeah,
Let's go.
I legitimately would read it as I was working at work. Because I just couldn't put I was reading on the Viz app, and I was just like, I can't
Yeah.
put this down right now. This is just so wholesome and lovely. Oh, it's one of my favorites.
Yes. That one's so good.
Mm-hmm.
I read it as a kid while it was still releasing, and I had realized this was once again during me just getting back into all the series I
Yeah.
used to read. I realized while I was reading it again that I was like, I never finished it because it wasn't completed when I was still reading it. I think it was only the 20 volumes or so, and there's 30 in total.
Yeah.
So I was just like, you know what? Let's read it all again. It was an experience. Ugh, it's so good. It's such a great series. It's just a lovely coming of age manga.
100%. And like I was like at work, like I was like, why am I crying right now? Like I am.
Yes.
Oh, and like there was no like I there's a trope in anime and manga that I dislike with a passion, and it's harem. And as a unfortunate Rent a Girlfriend fan, unfortunate. Yeah. Not well. I say fan. I say because it's really unfortunate.
You're like, I know this.
Oh
sucks.
yeah. I compare it to reality TV, where it's like it's so bad you can't look away. And you're like, but I literally was just like, please don't turn this into a harem at all. Just keep it nice and lovely, please. And then thankfully it did. I had the most visceral reaction when so we were watching Sugar Apple Fairy Tale, and the second core intro came in, and it's all the guys giving Anne like stuff, and I was like, I swear to God, if you I have trust issues at this point. If you turn this into a harem, I'm done.
I actually never watched the second core of that one. Now that I remember, because I really liked the first one, and then I don't know what happened. I just didn't watch it.
It's so good. Oh my God. I swear I mention it weekly on this podcast somehow. But yeah. Oh my God, it's so good. So with all of your manga, is there some what are some that are on your to read list like at the top?
So the thing is, I'm pretty good at staying on top of reading all of my manga, and I definitely don't like get straight into a new series without like already kind of knowing that I'm like it. So I'm trying to think what my TBR would be. There's some series that like haven't come out yet that got announced recently. One of them is The Failure of God School. It's by the same author as Apothecary
Okay.
Diaries, but this one runs in a shoujo
Okay.
magazine. So it's like a adaptation of a light novel that got put in as a shoujo manga, and Yen Press just recently licensed it, and I've been wanting that one for so long. Like, I don't really know what it's about other than this. It seems kind of like Kami-sama Kiss adjacent, where this girl runs a shrine, and she to like protect her shrine, she has to go to god school so she can become a god to like protect her grandma's shrine. And I'm like, that's kind of like Kami-sama Kiss. But yeah, so I'm really excited to read that one. I can't remember exactly when it comes out, but that one I'm very excited to read. And then Seven Seas just announced a josei manga that I've also been really, really wanting to read called Gene Bride. And I think that one comes out in February next year. But that one's like a sci-fi drama mystery. And I'm always excited to get a new josei manga. We really don't get many of those in the first place, like even less than shoujo. So those are like the top of my TBR when they come out.
Yeah. I love that. So recently hold on, let me grab the manga. Hold on. Cat's just staring at me. So recently you posted like what you recently got from Yen Press. And I went to New York Comic-Con and a couple weeks ago, and I picked this up.
Yuri, let's go.
And literally it got announced that it was going to be like a New York Comic-Con exclusive kind of thing. And I was like, I need it. I read it on the drive back to Canada. Bro, I need volume 2 like now. It's just so good, and the art.
I love the artwork in it. It's so good.
It's so good. I'm like, oh, cool. It's my new fave. It's great. But I love it so much. That and Witch Hat Atelier have taken over my brain space.
I actually, don't shoot me, I haven't gotten into Witch Hat at all. Everyone like comes at me when I say I haven't read or watched it yet, or well, it's not out yet, but I'll probably end up watching the anime before I read the manga, just because I don't have time to read everything.
No, that's completely valid. I stick to like 1 or 2 series at a time, and I'm like, okay, I can take a break with this and then get into another one. But yeah, one of the voice actors I had on the show was just like, have you read Witch Hat? And I was like, no. And they explained what it was, and I was like, uh-oh. And then I picked up volume 1, and now there's like a book club of Witch Hat that we have where we just
we just
yell into the ether of oh my god.
Yeah. Book clubs are really fun. I've been running one on my Discord for a while now, and it's just really fun getting to like discuss series with people, because you don't get to do that often. Usually you just kind of read in isolation and then scream into the void of Twitter. But
yes, exactly. That's pretty on point. So what would you recommend people who are just getting into shoujo or josei manga? What would you recommend, like, starters to start in with?
Oh, that's always so hard, because there's a lot of like availability issues. So it's always just kind of like a toss-up, and it's really hard to recommend when you don't like know exactly what the person's looking for either. Because I feel like sometimes with my recommendations, I'm like, this is what I
Yeah.
think. And then the person will read it and they're like, this sucks, actually. And now I think all shoujo is bad. It's like, oh, okay, well, shoujo's not bad, just my taste is, apparently.
Yeah.
But I would say the ones that I like people seem to like the most. I would always recommend Natsume's Book of Friends. Just because it's a good, just kind of like, hey, this isn't a romance series. Look, it's a really nice slice of life series. But availability issues with the manga. But you can watch the anime, because the anime is really good as well. But yeah, Natsume's Book of Friends. You know, I'm always gonna say Chihaya Furu. Not everyone likes sports series, but I think this one really is just like a good mix of like the high stakes drama, the really good characters, the romance. Like, it's just a really good mix of everything. And while we do have the manga digitally, you can like read it on the K Manga app. I don't know if I would entirely recommend that, but you can read it on Azuki, I believe. And that's always, those two are like usually my first go-tos for like just really good stories that kind of don't have the same expectations of shoujo and josei that they like think of. But, you know, Kimi ni Todoke is always going to be another like banger series to recommend. If you want an action shoujo, Queen's Quality is amazing. I feel like Queen's Quality is really like the shoujo series for people who only like battle action manga.
Valid.
And that one's on the Viz app too.
There you go.
That one's got decent availability, even if so there's a prequel series to Queen's Quality called QQ Sweeper, and volume 1 is basically impossible to find for some reason. But it is on the Viz app, so you can just read QQ Sweeper on the Viz app if you can't find it, and then collect Queen's Quality. So printing shortages are fantastic for recommendations.
Oh, good. Yeah. I when people come to me and it's like, I need a recommendation for a new series, I'm always like, can you please list what you like?
Literally. It's so funny when people, like, I'll get a comment on Twitter if I'm, like, talking about shoujo or whatever, like, stupid comment I see previously, and I'm just making, like, an offhand post about it. And someone's like, well, I've never read shoujo. Recommend me something. And I'm like, what do you like? I can't just, like, throw things at you. I feel like some people just think, like, I could just, like, be like, okay, I know exactly what you want here. But no.
Yeah.
There's different genres. Not everyone likes the same thing.
Yeah, totally. Going back to the not everyone likes sports anime / manga. When I first got it back into anime, I was like, what is this, volleyball? What the hell? Why do I want to watch this? Why do I care, right? I was so anti-sports. And now I'm like, I love Haikyuu. I love I've read all of Blue Box. I'm caught up. I love badminton at this point. And it just blows my mind. I'm just like, holy, why do I care about the sport now?
Yeah, that's the beauty of a good sports series. I always attribute Haikyuu to me getting back into volleyball. I had before COVID, I was on a league for like 8 years, and so like Haikyuu is the reason I got back into volleyball and played for like 10 years straight. Yeah, and I just haven't played lately because my team kind of just dissolved. That's the unfortunate part about not being on a high school team. You don't have people forced to play. But yeah, like I love sports series so much, and as someone who like I was so into sports as a kid, Like, I played softball, I played basketball, I did shot put and discus.
Damn.
I played volleyball for a good while, up until high school, but then they were like, you have to wear spandex. And I said, no, I'm not going to play volleyball.
Yeah, completely valid.
I don't know why
Yeah,
they
that's
make you do that.
good lord. Yeah, I was the theater kid, so I was like, man, what is this sports thing? And like, obviously, I knew hockey, because Canada, and that's all we have. And also the hockey anime, Pride of Orange or something like that. Yeah, I was so behind it. And I was like, this is going to be the greatest thing. It was like cute girls, like moe kind of hockey thing, right? And I swear to God, it was one of the worst things I have ever seen in my life. It made me so sad because I was pumping it up for weeks. I was like, get ready, boys, we're here. No, I was like, this is so boring.
Okay, I was gonna say, I have to ask out of morbid curiosity, like, what was so bad about it?
It was just so boring. Like, they didn't get into, I think it was either figure skating or the kind of dancing club at school. So their teacher, club lead, kind of made a hockey team, and straight up, after they won, they did an idol performance, and there was just a lot of talking and not a lot of hockey. And I'm like,
that's weird.
Yeah. I'm like, what is...
They really leaned into the moe.
Yeah, a little too much. Like, I love some moe. I love Place Further Than the Universe is one of my favorite anime. But that was just, I literally was like, what? This is it?
Have you seen the Golden Kamui author's new series, the hockey manga?
No. What? Oh, God.
It's called Dogs Red, I believe. But yeah, it's a hockey manga, so you might be into that one. It's apparently middle schoolers. I had no idea, and I made a very terrible joke when I saw that it got announced. And then everyone was like, Colleen, they're in middle school. And I'm like, that's a middle schooler? What are you telling me?
That's a grown-ass man.
Yeah, literally. It looked like the guy from Golden Kamuy. I was like, what the hell? It's not middle schooler. What are you saying? But yeah, they're like 14. I'm like, oh, okay, well, but hockey.
Yeah.
So if you want a hockey series, you got one right there.
Well, it's like Kuroko's basketball. I'm like, those are grown-ass men. Those are grown-ass men playing basketball. Like...
That's really the fun thing about a shonen sports series. I tried to read Ace of Diamond recently, and when I was reading it, I was like, that's a full ass adult paying a mortgage. Yeah. Like, he's not senpai. No. He's an adult man.
Yeah, straight up. And it's like with that, like kind of high schoolers or middle schoolers looking exactly like a grown-ass man, when I realized that, like, in JoJo, that whatever character is like 14 or 16, I'm like, no, they're like 200 years old.
Yeah.
No, they are not a teenager. That is straight up, that person has muscles on muscles on muscles.
I feel like sometimes they do it as a joke. Like, they have to.
They have to. God.
And now I'm wondering, me and my friends make jokes about Baki a lot.
Oh, that's another one.
We've never... Is he a kid?
I don't know. It's never mentioned.
I was gonna say, like, I wonder how old Baki is supposed to be.
No idea. I'm kind of scared.
I'll have to ask my friend. I've never thought to ask, hey, how old is this buff
Yeah,
child.
yeah, with like again muscles on muscles on muscles. Oh my god.
Yeah. I saw a gif from Demon Slayer recently from the recent season where Tanjiro's like doing the training arc and he's just
Oh yeah.
ripped to shreds. I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Where did this
Oh
come
yeah,
from?
when cuz I think it was a couple seasons ago they did like some training and Inosuke, Zenitsu and Tanjiro were all running with their shirts off. And I'm like, ew,
Yeah.
stop it. Like one of them makes
Yeah.
sense. The other two, gross. And then like I was like, I guess, because they have to like, I guess they could be ripped because, they have to fight a
Yeah.
lot, which is fine. But I was just like, ugh, ugh, ugh.
It's like seeing a toddler's head on like a buff body.
That's exactly it. Exactly. I'm like, that's a cinnamon roll. Stop it.
Yeah. He's not
Oh
buff.
god, especially Zenitsu's head on like the buff body. I'm like, eh.
Yeah. Buff Tanjiro
Yeah.
can't hurt you. Buff Tanjiro at the edge of my bed at night, just flexing.
God.
Hi, I'm Steve Yurko.
And I'm Tara Sands. Now available from Maji Media is our new podcast, 4Kids Flashback. 4Kids is the company who brought you the English dub of Pokemon in the late 90s and so many other shows like Yu-Gi-Oh!, Shaman King, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Kirby, the infamous One Piece dub, and so many more.
We'll be talking to the people who worked at 4Kids. Actors, directors, writers, editors, producers, engineers, you get the point. And hopefully get the answers to questions both you and I have about the company.
I actually worked there as a voice actor on some of the shows.
And I was a kid watching the shows and remember way more than Tara does.
And thank God for that. Steve is actually a professional storyboard artist, which gives some really unique insights into anime and animation. Subscribe today wherever you get your podcasts. That's the number 4 Kids Flashback.
Hey guys, welcome to the Patreon shoutout portion of today's episode. And today we have two types of shoutouts, which are monthly shoutouts and our weekly shoutouts. So if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, you get exclusive access to behind the scenes stuff, Patreon exclusive videos, and the episode a whole day early. So yeah, let's get into the monthly shoutouts. Shout out to Jeremy and Ellie. Thank you guys so much. And now the weekly shoutout. Thank you to Buff Boy, Brooke, Blythe, Bunny, Geo, Keith, and Mikey. Thank you guys so much for all your support. If you want to support, link will be down in the description. And yeah, back to the episode. So, how did you get into content creation for manga? How did that start?
TikTok mostly. Mm-hmm. I was doing that for a few years, and it was kind of like I started doing photography content because that's my main job is freelance fashion photography. Okay. And once I started getting into manga, I would just kind of post like manga recommendation videos every now and then. And then I really was getting into manga, so it just kind of took over because I couldn't really do photography anymore since it's such a social job. And so I had less and less photography stuff to post. And since I was getting more into manga, I was just posting that more. And then I just kind of started gaining a following by doing manga recommendations and short little like video essays, like 3-minute long ones before they had the 10-minute long feature. And I had a lot of people be like, hey, have you ever thought about trying YouTube before? And to me, because I grew up like loving YouTube so much, I was such a big fan of like Smosh and Mika Kitty and Rhett and Link. So I was like, me on YouTube, like, no, I can't do that. Like, that's too much. I would be bad at it. I'm not a good public speaker. And then I was just like, you know what? I'll take one of my videos that I made on TikTok and I'll kind of expand it into a full video. I'll do a little bit of research, a little like extra research, make this into a full video. And so that first one I posted was like 3 years ago now, I think. And it was just an expansion of my manga magazines, my Shojo Manga magazines. videos. And now I do those differently, but I can get into that later. But I posted that, and it had decently good reception, and I was like, okay, well, let's make my Decline of Shojo Anime video, and like let's make that into a whole YouTube video as well. And that's when I posted that one, and that one blew up. And I kind of got stuck into doing YouTube since then.
I remember when that got posted. I literally was like, ooh, it literally came up on my recommended on YouTube, and I was like, oh crap, I know them from TikTok. And then yeah,
that one, I don't know. Like, a lot of people told me they were just sharing it with like friends and stuff, and that's how I imagine it ended up blowing up like that. But it really was crazy. I was not expecting it, and especially because if I look back at it now, and I've talked about this in like my yearly updates of that video, when I look back at that video, it was so poorly done. I reread the script recently, and it's not even a script. It was a bullet point page, and I was like, how did I make a video from this? I have no idea how I made a video from this. And the fact that like so many people were like, oh well, romance series just aren't as good as like, and I'm like, I didn't even do a description of what shoujo was in the beginning of the video. And so everyone was like, you got so many comments on that video, like trying to explain to me that like romance series can't like have merch, and I'm like, that's not what shoujo is. And that's why I'm so like, anytime I have just a general video, I always have to be like, okay, now shoujo is this. Before we get into it, shoujo is this, and I will repeat that over and over and over again until we understand this.
Oh my god.
It's a very unfortunate place I put myself.
Oh my god. So what advice do you have for people just starting to make content on social media?
I mean, getting an audience is always just like luck. But I would say the best advice I have for people is try not to listen too much to what others are telling you to do, and just do what you like and do what makes you happy. Because I feel like people can really tell when you are trying to not necessarily pander, but when you're trying to do something that doesn't inspire you as much. Like if I were to do a video about a shonen manga, sure, maybe I love, like if I did one on Haikyuu, sure, I love that. But I just feel like it isn't as me to do a manga like that that's like already so well known. And I like to give a place for like smaller series that don't have much of an audience. And that's just my own, like, I don't want to be like everyone else, you know? I want to do things that I can introduce people to, because that's how I view my whole channel, is just like introducing people to new ideas, to new series, to shoujo in general, and then from there they can kind of like take it on themselves. And I think if you want to get into content creation, just do what you love and not what people tell you to do. And that might not get you like a huge audience right away.
Yep.
But people can tell when you love something. I think that is one of my favorite comments I get on videos, is when people are like, I can tell you love what you're talking about. And I'm like, you're right. I do. And I just think that it's a good indicator of I'm doing what I love, and I'm doing something that clearly I am enjoying.
Yeah, I love.
And I think that's always the best thing to do with your content and your creativity, and just any sort of art in general.
Totally, I completely agree. I also love those comments being like, "Oh, I can see that you really love doing this," and I was like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah, it's just nice to be acknowledged for like the hard work that you put in to the thing that you do, and having people see like, I see the hard work and I see how much fun you're having.
Yeah. And like I was actually talking about this like this weekend with some friends of mine, and like the whole reason not the whole reason, but a good chunk of the reason I started this was because I love listening to people talk about stuff they love. And I wanted to give people the platform to talk about just stuff they nerd out about. And it's just lovely to hear just people talking about what they're passionate about. And it's just, it just makes me all nice inside, I guess.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that I've always loved about YouTube is getting to see people just kind of like work on their craft in a way that's like very unique to them. And I feel like that's something I really love about my own videos, is that while there are people who do video essays, there's people who do sketches, there's people who talk about manga as like reviews or recommendations, I feel like I have fun putting all these things together that I love into one thing and getting to really play around with all these different elements of like video making that I had always loved from my own childhood and watching and growing up watching. Like I'll always say that Smosh has really influenced my like desire to do comedy, to make sketches. I used to do like stupid little videos with my brother because we were both very into Smosh, and we would try to make sketches together.
Yep.
And the fact that I get to do sketches now in my own videos, even if people like, they're like, what the heck are you doing? I do get video comments a lot being like, this sketch is stupid. Like, why are we doing this? It's 3 minutes long. And I'm like, because I think it's funny. I don't know what to tell you. I think it's funny. And it's a great way to get like, you know, it flex a creative muscle I haven't gotten to before, or like never had an opportunity.
Totally. I've been making content for 15 years now on the internet since I was like 14 years old. And like I was a child, started with sketches just because like, again, Smosh was a huge influence. Like
it goes back to
Smosh. Unfortunately I watched Fred.
Fred,
what a that was that was horrible. But I just seeing my like kind of like, and you can say this about any creator, seeing like the going from, you know, loving sketches to I did vlogs to what I'm doing now, is just it's a nice little arc, you know, kind of thing.
Yeah, and especially when you're a kid and you're like kind of figuring out what you like too. I remember when I was like around that time in high school or so, I thought I wanted to do illustration and I wanted to be a manga artist. And then I kind of realized like this isn't really for me. Like I only know how to draw manga and I don't really know proportions very well. I also unfortunately had an art teacher that was just not supportive at all. So I was kind of like, you know what, let's try something else. And then for a while I was like, I want to be a film director. So I kind of got into movie making and I was trying to like write scripts, and I found a notebook recently of all the scripts I used to write and like plot ideas for movies and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't remember doing this. And then from there, I got into photography, and that kind of led into the career I have. And then, you know, going back, I'm like, okay, now I'm like doing videos again, something that I thought I would never do. And it's cool to see like creative flow of just all these different things that end up kind of like coming together, and all the different experiences just making you who you are.
Exactly. Oh, that was a lovely little making you who you are. I love that. So shifting gears to one of my favorite segments of yours, taking the Shonen Jump to Shoujo. Genius name.
Thank you.
Literally, one of the first ones you put out, I was like, that is fucking genius. Like,
some people still don't get the name. I'm like, guys, come on,
bruh.
This is perfect.
Oh my god, it's perfect. Where did that like idea come from?
I remember putting out a TikTok video and being like, hey, I have this idea. I think it would be really fun to take shonen series and recommend shoujo series that are like them. Can you guys give me like recommendations for shonen that you want me to do? Oh god, how long ago was that? That must have been like 5 years ago now. I'm so
me every day.
I'm gonna turn 31 soon. I'm like, oh god. But I think that was 5 years ago now. I started the series. I think I started with My Hero Academia, and I did Gaku and Alice for it. And I haven't been able to do My Hero on my YouTube because Gaku and Alice doesn't have an official release anymore. So I'm like holding off until possibly we get a re-release of that series. But yeah, so I think I was just writing down all these shonen series, and I was doing all the work, and I was like, okay, I gotta think of a funny name. Shonen Jump, making the Shonen Jump to Shoujo? And I was like, yeah, that's perfect.
Oh my god, yeah.
And I always like doing stupid little like names with my TikTok series I did. There was one where I would read bad my anime list reviews of series, and I called it Anam Mal MAL leaves. And I was like, oh god, I'm so good at this. I'm great at puns.
Oh god.
That's where that came from.
I love that. I watched one of the more recent ones on YouTube, recommending Attack on Titan fans Children of the Whales. Again, genius.
Oh, thank you.
That is, oh my god, that series is so pretty. It's
beautiful. Like, I've tried to like tell people who do really like Witch Hat. Children of the Whales is the closest you're gonna get.
100%.
Like that is the art style between those two is very similar.
Yeah, and that's why I love Witch Hat so much, is because the art style is oh my god, it's just it's insane that it's I think it's weekly, I'm not sure, but it's just I don't know how she does it. I don't understand.
From what I've heard, she is like the fastest illustrator ever.
At New York Comic Con, I went to a live like drawing that she was a part of.
Yeah.
And she drew Keyfree in like half an hour, or not half an hour, and it was an hour panel.
That's
and she's like, "Yeah,
crazy.
I'm done. I'm just making like clouds and stuff." And I'm like, "How the hell?"
Those are the kind of people you're like, you are doing the job that you were to
literally,
do.
literally. I'm like, this is insane. Like, oh my god. But yeah, the art style in Children of the Whales is beautiful, and that's one of the driving forces of how I pick manga. Is if I really like the art style. Oh my goodness. So. I say this on like every episode. I'm a romance connoisseur of anime and manga. What are some of your favorite anime or manga romance wise?
My absolute favorite. It's kind of solidified itself as my absolute favorite with this last volume, but A Condition Called Love is literally
so good.
It's so good. And every volume since like volume 10, I've been sobbing my eyes out. It is such a beautiful series. I'm gonna get on my pedestal for a second. I enrages me. How people make it seem like this is some red flag, horrible, toxic romance series when it is just, it is a coming of age series, once again, about these two flawed people who are figuring themselves out through high school, one of the most vulnerable times of your life, when you are just not very smart emotionally, you don't really know what you're doing, you're figuring everything out. And this is also because I, myself, very much relate to Hananoi. I'm not to the extreme that he is, but in high school, I was very much like him. Where I was like, romance is everything. I need a partner because it's going to validate me, and that'll make me feel good about myself. And I need someone who loves me because that means I'm lovable. And that's a little too vulnerable.
All good.
Sorry, you're not my therapist.
All good.
But yeah, that's how I view this series. I'm just like, it has such great messages about mental health and about like romantic relationships and platonic relationships and familial relationships. It is so good. I could talk for hours about how good that manga is. And I feel like when I go back, the setup is a little slow, but if you could give it 5 volumes at the very least, I think it is truly one of the best romance dramas coming of age series like ever.
Oh wow.
And then I'll step off my pedestal.
I've been wanting to pick it up ever since we finished the anime. Because I feel where the anime left off, it was just getting its foot.
That's around where
exactly.
Volume
5. Yeah, I figured enough. And so I'm like, do I pick this up? And I think I will now.
100%. 100%. These recent volumes, they will, like, if you were crying to Kimi ni Todoke, like, this is just, it rips your heart out at times. It is so emotional, and it's just so sad seeing these two high schoolers, like, having all these, like, mental problems, I guess is the best way to put it, but, like, oh, God, if I think about Hananoi for too long, I'm gonna cry. I love that boy. He's my child. He's my son.
Oh God, yeah. I enjoyed the anime immensely. I knew nothing about it going in, and then my partner's like, "Oh, we're watching this like weekly." I was like, "Okay, all right." I don't know. You just have to say romance, and I'm like, yes, I'm in. And I really enjoyed it. I was really, really good.
That's good to hear, because the anime was very lackluster in my opinion. I think they did good with the story. The story was pretty true to itself, but it was just like the animation was so funky. And when you read the manga, you're gonna see the art and be like, this is what the art looks like compared to the anime. Like, the art is gorgeous. It is so pretty in the manga. So you'll have a treat when you go into it.
I'm excited. One of my favorites is Sign of Affection. My God. It got recommended to me on TikTok a bunch. Just a bunch of creators being like, read this. And I was like, okay, all right. I like a silent voice. Sure. And I was like, this may be the best. Like, I love every character except for her neighbor. Fuck that guy.
Have you been keeping up with it, the volumes? I want to know, do you still hate him after the recent one?
I don't hate him as much. I'm still like, you need to stop talking. But it's less hate. I just loved because we watched the anime like as it was coming out. I also cried when the anime got announced. I was like, it's coming.
Yeah, that was me when Akira Love got announced. I get it.
Yep. I was like, I never expected this to be animated at all. So, but as it was coming out, my partner was like, "Oh, he's just misunderstood," and I was like, "No, he's just an asshole. He sucks." I love A Sign of Affection so much. Obviously I love Komi. I have a Komi tattoo. I just
That's what my husband's very into. He's a big Komi fan. I find it funny the things he likes sometimes. I'm just kind of like, where did you find this? Because like it wasn't from me. And he's just like, I don't know. I just really like Komi. I think I found it on Reddit.
Oh,
okay.
Hell yeah. God. I love it.
I can't get over that. You're a Rent-A-Girlfriend fan. I feel bad that I roasted it so bad in my live stream.
I literally roast it every single day. Every single day. I am literally like, I have stopped reading it because it just made me so mad. Because it's 300 plus chapters now of just oh, and like I love it when the main characters get together in like volume or two. It's like whoa, because I'm a big fan of stories that go like after they get together.
Yeah,
because I really like that kind of like, oh, I want to see them as a couple. Like, I think that's why I like Kimi ni Todoke so much. And like, even this is another goddamn, you're gonna Uzuki-chan wants to hang out. They
I have a couple friends who like it. I won't judge.
At first I was like, this is gonna be crap. And then I was like, okay, it's actually not that bad. But
it's one of those ones that like you see the character design and you're just like, this is for a certain crowd, and you're like, okay, well, it's not that bad.
Yeah, but like again, the main two eventually get together and it keeps going, and I was like, hell yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Give me a happily ever after, not just end it. End it. I got really enraged there. Just don't end it and be like, okay, they're done. They get married and have kids and die. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks. Didn't want any more content. I just wanted pining. Like,
yeah. Literally. Although, as a fan of yearning, I very much love when there is lots of yearning in a series and maybe they're not together. But the story, if they're not going to get together throughout the story itself has
that's
like, it's got to have a good story behind it if they're not going to get together until the end.
Exactly. That's kind of like my if the story is good, it is not pointing fingers at Rent-A-Girlfriend. Yep. If the story is good, I'm totally good with yearning. Absolutely. Let's go. If I can sink my teeth into the relationship. Awesome. But if you're just going to just tease me for 300 plus chapters, what are we doing here?
What
are we doing here? Like,
yeah. I mean, after reading 3 volumes of that manga, I was literally so drained. So kudos to you for like having gone as far as you did.
I don't know. I was like, come on, there's got to be some payoff at some point. I think that's what like kept me going.
Yeah, you just wanted to see
something, and I was like pulling at like strings, like just pulling an air. I was like, she looked at him this way. Maybe there's something. Yeah.
I tried to think if there's a series where I just kept reading it because I wanted something to happen. I feel like the closest, it's not a manga, I think it's a manhwa. It was a business proposal. I don't know if you've ever heard
familiar.
of it. It's I only read it because I saw a lot of people being like, oh, the K-drama kind of sucks. And I used to be really into K-dramas. I fell off of those a couple of years ago just because they got so hard to watch. They're all like an hour and 20 minutes long, and there's weekly episodes, and I'm just like, I can't do this. I can't watch a movie every weekend. Yeah, but so I thought, you know what, I'll check out the manhwa just to see what all the hubbub is about. And I was reading it, and there's something about webtoons or any sort of webcomic that's like vertical scroll. I could just keep going and going and going for hours on end, which is why I try not to read that many webtoons in the first place. But there was something about this one that, like, I felt like nothing was happening. But I just kept reading it because I was like, surely something will happen the next chapter. Still nothing. But I read the entire thing, and I was like, I don't know why. This feels like a waste of time.
Kudos to you. Damn. Yeah.
It was just one of those series that I was just like, there's a lot of nothing
here. So I recently, so back, I think, 2022, I got into Blue Period, and I read the first 8 volumes, and I read those, and I was like, I think I'm done. It like kind of like reached its crescendo of that arc, and I was like, that's a nice place to stop. And I just was like, because like I really enjoyed like the characters and everything, but it was just like,
Yeah, I haven't read the manga yet, but when I watch the anime, and I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh well, the anime is not good, just read the manga instead. When I watched the anime, I was like, I don't think I like this that much.
Yeah.
Like, other than the fact that the animation wasn't very good anyway, I don't know, the story just wasn't doing it for me. I don't know if I could really say why, but I was just kind of like, okay, like, that was a series, and I know everyone loves it, so I feel like I'm just missing something that, like, everyone else loves so much about
I was like, this is cool. Okay, working toward his goal. Awesome. Hits his goal. I'm done. Like, I was like, I was like, I don't really care for the rest of the series.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I guess 8 volumes gone. Yeah. Oh my God.
There's something that's a power move about that. Being like, you know what? This is where I
Exactly. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on.
Of course.
Where can the people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Colleen's Manga Rex, or Instagram, which is the same, or Twitter, where I get in a lot of trouble sometimes. At Colleen's Manga.
Oh God.
I'm an opinionated person, okay? And when you don't have people to talk to in your real life about things that you're angry about, you turn to Twitter, and a lot of angry people are on Twitter too.
Oh God.
What can you do?
Exactly. You can follow me at Corky Cosplays on Instagram, Adam Corky everywhere else, and subscribe to the Patreon because it keeps the lights on. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye.